All right. Welcome, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. And again, I'm Lori Anderson, and I'm your tour leader for this trip. And actually, my background, the very first trip that I took with Green Adventures was to Tanzania. And I traveled similar to how you guys are talking about trying to find a women's group. I was in the same situation. I won't go into the details of the whole story, but I found myself suddenly, with the gal that I used to travel with a lot, whatever. I had to find a new way to travel on my own. Okay, she's still a good friend of mine, but I had to find a new way to travel on my own. And so someone else told me about Green Adventures. So I went to Tanzania on my own and, got assigned a roommate that I didn't know. And we are now lifelong friends. We had a blast. And I was just blown away by the entire trip. And I will tell you what I tell everybody. I knew I would like Tanzania. I love travel of every way, shape, and form. So I knew I would like it. I never expected to fall in love with Africa. And it just has a huge piece of my heart. So, without further ado, I think I'm just going to like step right into we have a PowerPoint presentation for you tonight and kind of outline different things that we're going to be doing during the trip. And at any point, if you have a question, you can put a note into the chat, okay? And then we'll answer those. Keep an eye out for those. We'll really answer them as we go along. If we miss something, we'll catch up to them on the end, okay? All right. So give me 1 second here.
Got it here.
Everybody has a couple of lions.
Yep.
Okay. Let me first tell you that like all of the pictures that we have on here were taken on trips in Tanzania, on our trips in Tanzania. Okay. Um, and that's just important to know, that we're not like finding great shots on the internet or anything. These were all taken
Yeah.
along the way. All right. So let's see. Oh, where's a second. Bear with me, wasn't where I'm finding there we go. Okay, so just a little bit of background on Green Adventures. Yep, we're a women-owned company. Been in business, I think we're at year 16 at the moment, and women-owned. Our owner is Tara Short, and she is always busy finding new adventures for us. And at the moment, this list that you see off to the left are all of our current destinations. And you can find more information on all of those on our website. But yeah, we like to go all over the place. And this is our mission. We want to help people fall in love with wild places through extraordinary eco adventures to protect people, places, ecosystems through ecotourism. So all of our adventures, you're going to learn about the animals, the land, the people, cultures, all while having a ton of fun along the way. This picture in the background here is our Idaho rafting trip down the Salmon River. Hey, there's me. Like I said, I took my first trip on the Tanzania trip was in 2019 as a passenger. And then I led my first trip in 2021. Since then, I've been on 19 trips as a passenger, and I've led 23 trips. To this coming up in May, this will be my 10th time back to Tanzania. So when I tell you that I am in love with Tanzania, I mean it, and I can't wait to share that with other people. All right, so where are we going? Here's a quick little map of Africa, the African continent, and Tanzania is this little green country right there. We're just below the equator, and the time of year that we go, temperatures are great. If I look back on pictures, I'm often in a t-shirt. Sometimes I'm in a tank. I almost always start out the day like this, in a safari shirt. Mornings can be cool. I may start out in a sweatshirt and then, peel off as the day goes by. But it's a great time of year to go. It's coming right out of the rainy season. The grass is green, the animals are fat and happy, and the predators are happy because they're finding food as well. This is just a typical pic that we took. This is in the Ngorongoro Crater, and it is not unusual for us to see this an assortment of animals in one view out the safari truck windows. Here's a few more. young lions. All right, how do we get there? You're going to want to find a flight that gets to Arusha, Tanzania. It's Kilimanjaro International Airport. And what we do is we have a big trip packet that gives you all of the information you need, all of the parameters. Arrive by this date, by this time, and then find a flight that departs on this date after this time. We list here the major airlines out of that we know fly out of the U.S. Many of them partner with somebody over, on the next portion of the flight. For instance, Delta will fly. Delta goes through Amsterdam. They partner up with KLM, and then it's another flight Amsterdam down into Arusha. United flies there, American, Brussels Airways, Ethiopian, Qatar Airlines. We've had passengers that have used all those different airlines with success. Altogether, it's about 24 hours of travel altogether, including your, that includes your getting to the airport early time, layover time. When I fly, I try to fly Delta, and it's about 16 hours of flight, about to get to Europe and then to get back down south to Tanzania. Cost ranging, anywhere 1,100 13 hour or 1,300 round trip from North America. And then travel parameters, all of that we provide. We will provide a ton of information, clothing, visas, travel, everything you need to know. Yeah, so what do you need to get in and out of Tanzania? Need a valid passport. It needs to have at least 2 blank pages, and it has to be at least 6 months before it expires. So check your passports now in case they do need updating. You want to give yourself plenty of time to get those back to you if you have to get anything renewed or updated. And the tourist visa for Tanzania, it's an online visa. It costs $100. And our information also includes detailed step-by-step instructions of how to fill out that visa. Theirs is all online right now. And again, we walk you right through it. All right, our promise. You may be traveling solo, but you are never alone. I'm your first travel buddy. If you're new with us, yeah, I'll be your first travel buddy. And again, we give you all kinds of information. Our guides, our tour guides in Tanzania, they are waiting for you at the airport. So no matter if if everybody comes in on different flights, doesn't matter. These guys get to the airport, and they will take you to our first lodge is at Lake Diluti. They are with us the entire trip, 24/7, and they take us back to the airport on our very last day. So people will always ask me, weren't you afraid to go to, Tanzania? I've never felt safer in my life. Never felt safer in my life. Those guys are with us the whole time, and it's absolutely phenomenal. We have illness and accident support. Something happens, we can get you the help you need. And again, our local team make sure you get back to the airport on time. And this is our team. On the left is, on the left side of the picture is Baraza. He owns the company that we partner with. And then next in line is Corrado, another one of the guides, and Vitalis is also a support person for them. He's kind of running things in the background. We see him he appears and disappears throughout our trip, and he takes care of a lot of the details in the background to make sure everything is in place for the next place that we arrive. But they're a great team, and we've been working with them since 2019. They're awesome. This is a typical safari vehicle. And what you can see here is the roof pops up. Okay. And so anytime we get into one of the national parks, that's the first thing we do. We stop, pop the roof open. And the seating, you can see the seating here too. Up front is the driver, and there's room. There's often room for someone to sit with the driver if you care to sit up there. And then just behind him, there's 6 seats, and they each have a window. There's a little aisle in the middle. It's a little hard to see the aisle at the moment, but there is an aisle in the middle, and everybody has a window seat. So everybody has a great view. There's not a bad seat at all. This just kind of shows that you can just stand up with this roof popped open. You can stand up and look out and get a good clear view. If you're a little on the short side, like me, um, we can also stand on the seats and get a clear view. I'm 5'3" and I'm just a little too short to stand up there and and get a camera in place to take a good pic. So I kick off my hiking boots and then stand on the seats. And this gives you just a little bit of a good picture of the duffel bags that as they get loaded into the vehicle every night. You'll see in our information that we ask no roller bags. We give the specifics on duffels, size, all of that, so that it coordinates with the airline requirements and all of that. But the important thing is like nothing with rollers, because you can see they get stacked in here. And so they have to be, kind of soft and squishy and able to fit in there. As we move from like one lodge to the next, all of this, but all of the luggage is with us in the back of the truck. Okay. Up front, we just have what we need with us during the day. Water bottle, camera, maybe any medication you need to take during the day, things like that. But the rest of our luggage is packed back here, and we don't access it again until we get to our lodge that next night. This is a good example of typical safari clothing. You'll note that all of the colors are muted, okay? What's really important is we want to blend in. We want to be as inconspicuous as possible. So we ask you to pick out forest-friendly colors, okay? Khakis, greens, tans, a darker purple, grays. I don't know how well this color shows up on here, but it's kind of a rust color is good. But we want to avoid bright colors. And you especially want to totally avoid blacks and blues. Those two attract tsetse flies. Okay. So we ask everybody like no black pants, no black rain jackets. Okay, those things attract tsetse flies. And you'll also see on here like a good hiking boot or something durable like that. We don't have like hikes on this trip, except I'll explain one thing that we have a little later, one event that we have with one of the tribes. But you want something good to protect your feet. There are times when we're out on the Serengeti that we may be having lunch out on the Serengeti, like right in the middle of the Serengeti, and you want your ankles protected in that grass, okay? In the bottom right, we show a little picture of an insect repellent that's called permethrin. And we suggest everybody spray your clothes with this insect repellent before you go. The three questions I get asked the most about Africa are, how bad are the bugs? Okay. What's the food like? And what is the bathroom situation like? Okay. And I'm going to cover all of that. Bugs, to tell you the truth, are not bad. First of all, we ask you to prep your clothing. We also will carry insect repellent with us. And I'll tell you the mistake I made the first trip that I went on. Every morning, I was like spraying myself down with DEET, right? I was like, I'm gonna do whatever I need. But the bugs just were never bad. And I soon learned, carry that insect repellent with me. If we have a day, where, maybe we're have more trouble with flying bugs or something like that, then apply insect repellent. But I rarely need to use it. I have it with me all the time, but I rarely need to use that. And part of it is where we all come prepared. Okay. And the thing in going to Tanzania is we all want to we recommend that you talk to your doctor, and you'll probably get a prescription for malaria drugs. Okay. And again, that's all preventative. The mosquitoes have never been horrendous, but it is a possibility. And so we want to protect against all of that. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say about clothing is now is a good time to shop all of the sales. REI is having a great sale right now. Columbia is a good source. If you have Sierra Trading near you, they're a good overstock company, and they can have a lot of this type of clothing on sale. Again, we provide a very comprehensive packing list that tells you exactly, what you need in the way of clothing and rain gear, things like that. All right, what other gear may you need? Absolutely, you'll want to have a pair of binoculars, okay? And I don't have the packing list right in front of me right now, but I believe we recommend like a 10 by 42 binocular. And I'll double check that and let you know. And then your phone, everybody has great phones right now. You will find your phone will take phenomenal pictures. And even though we have a nice camera here up in the right-hand corner, I don't want anybody to think you have to invest in a good camera. If you have one, great. I bring one. I have one similar to the Nikon that's shown here. Um, but don't feel like you have to make that investment as well. You will find your phone will take phenomenal pictures. All right, here's a little bit of uh, gives you a little bit of an outline of where we're going. We start out in Arusha and we kind of make a big circle. We're in the upper northern part of Tanzania on our whole trip, and we make a large circle and then get back to Arusha. And these are all the highlights of what we hit. We hit Arusha National Park, the Ngorongoro Crater, Olduvai Gorge. We visit the Maasai. We hit the Serengeti. We visit two other tribes, and then our last national park that we visit is Tarangire National Park. And I'll go over these a little bit more in detail here. All right, like I said, a lot of people ask too, like, what's the bathroom situation? Like, where are you staying? And they're scared. I'm telling you, you're going to be blown away. All right, this is a typical bed that we stay at in our accommodations. They almost all have mosquito netting, and if the bed has mosquito netting, I use it. Even if like someone at the lodge would be like, "Oh, you don't really need to use it. It's not a bad season for mosquito." I use it because, like, I'm telling you, I feel like I'm in a fairy tale. It's just beautiful. So our first night is at Lake Duluti Lodge. Beautiful little area for us to stay in. You'll find their site is absolutely gorgeous. Then we spend 2 nights at Marera Valley Lodge. We're 3 nights out in the Serengeti, and that's a tented camp. And again, the tents, they're the tents have been in the same area for the past 3 or 4 years. They're kind of like permanent tent grounds, okay? And each tent has its own bathroom area with a running shower, flushing toilets, and sinks. Okay, so even though we're in tents, it's pretty nice to stay there. Then we spend a couple nights over in Lake Eyasi, also in a lodge, and then we end the trip at Lake Barungi, and that's also a tented lodge. Those tents, that area is completely different. The tents are raised up off the ground. They've got wooden floors, and but the sides and the roofs are tented. And again, all of these places have a separate bathroom facility or a separate room right in the lodge or right in the tent with your own shower, always a flushing toilet, and sinks. Okay, and the picture on the left is the dining room out on the Serengeti, with separate dining a tent for all of our meals. And then the picture on the right is Lake Duluti, again with the beautiful mosquito netting. We do caution everybody not to drink the tap water. You will find all of our accommodations will have bottled water waiting for you. Bottled water is always available in our vehicles during the day. You can refill your individual, water bottle. But we don't brush our teeth with the tap water. Use your bottled water for all of that. But you can uh, all of the food that were served at the lodges, we can eat whatever they serve to us. And a lot of people worry about that too. Like, oh, I don't want to eat a fresh salad. I'm here to tell you, like I said, this is my 10th time on this trip. I have eaten whatever they put in front of me, and we have not had any issues. It's all amazingly good and a huge variety. If you go home hungry, I don't know. All right. Our first day out, we hit a national park. Right at the start of the trip is we have a game drive the very first full day that we're there. And here, I'm not going to read this whole thing to you, but Tanzania has 22 national parks. We're going to hit 4 of them on this safari trip. Arusha is fabulous. It's right outside of the city of Arusha, and it's a small little park. So I just always feel like it's a little treasure. Like not many people know about it, but it's great. It gives us like our first adventure into what a safari drive is all about. And and this sounds crazy, but it takes you a little bit to get your game eye of like what to get used to seeing. And again, this sounds crazy, but like somebody will be like saying like, "Oh, there's a giraffe over there." And you kind of have to get like, what scale are you looking for? You know, like because sometimes they're like across a valley and, you know, are you looking for something that's like this big or, you know, and sometimes the giraffes can be very, very close to our vehicle. But I always think it's a little interesting on that first day to like get used to like what are we looking for? Where is it? And this is just a good exercise getting us ramped up for the parks that we're going to be visiting on the following days to sharpen our eye to find all the animals. All of Tanzania's parks are open, no fences. Okay, so you just never know what we're going to see and when we're going to see it. So in this little park, like I said, it's a little gem. We have the chance to see giraffes, Cape buffalo, zebras, warthogs, colobus monkeys, blue monkeys, flamingos, elephants, bush bucks. It's just crazy. And like raise your hand if you're a birder. Okay, anybody in this on this call, you birders? Okay, I'm telling you, just for the days of this trips, pretend you are. Okay, just for a week, you can all pretend to be a birder because I was blown away at the variety of colors and sizes of birds, like absolutely blown away. You know, I live in Wisconsin. I'm used to seeing a cardinal and a blue jay, and like that's about it for color, right? Maybe once in a while you get a Baltimore Oriole coming through, you know, woohoo. But like here in Tanzania, unbelievable the amount of birds you're going to see. So just for a short time, pretend you're a birder. Okay, here's an example. It's not unusual for us to find just, you know, a shoreline just covered in pink of flamingos. Here's a buddy giraffe. And we will, I always say, like, with any wildlife trip, like, we can't absolutely guarantee you're going to see this, you're going to see that. And they're wild animals, right? But you're going to see a giraffe. You're going to see giraffes for sure. Here's a stork, saddlebill stork. Again, the size and variety of birds that we see is crazy. All right, the next day we visit the Ngorongoro Crater, and I love the crater. So it was formed, you know, millions of years ago, volcanic eruption, and then it collapsed and it left this big caldera. So it's this big giant fishbowl. It's like 10 miles by 12 miles across. And we come in that day up on the top of the rim, and all the time it's like foggy coming in early in the morning and it looks like, oh man, we got a rainy day, oh, you know, what are we going to see? But we're on top of this big caldera and we drive in up on that and then like we make our way down and on the bottom of this crater, this place has its own ecosystem, so it is not unusual at all to get down to the bottom and we have clear skies, we have sunny skies, and you can look up and you can see where those clouds were all caught on the rim of that crater. And it's just crazy to think that, you know, the weather can be so different that quickly. And this is our first opportunity to actually see the big five. The big five are considered the lion, rhino, Cape buffalo, elephant, leopard. Okay. There's going to be a test. No, I'm kidding. There's never going to be a test. But those are the big five that everybody are always after to see the big five, see the big five. And down here in the crater, that's our one and only chance to see the rhinos. And we often see the rhinos down there. Our guides are great. They know what to look for. They know where to look. And this will be your first chance too to see wildebeest. Somebody was wanting to see the wildebeest migration. The wildebeest that are down in the crater, they're not part of the migration. All the animals that are down in the crater, they don't have any reason to leave. You know, so they just kind of live down in here. They just have no reason to go in and out. But anyway, the crater is amazing in itself because it's just different than anything else that you'll see. Here's some cranes. This is the national bird of Tanzania. This is a caracal cat. So everybody, like, of course, we want to see the lions and the cheetahs and the leopards, but it's just as much fun to be able to spot some of the smaller cats. And I say smaller These guys are still bigger than your average house cat. They're much smaller than a leopard and cheetah and things like that. But it's a good chance for us to see these guys down in the crater. We may see them out on the Serengeti. This guy is a caracal cat, and he's absolutely gorgeous. And I think the next slide, yep, this is a serval cat. And again, we may see him in the crater. We may see him out on the Serengeti. They're spotted just like leopards, and they're amazing to see these guys. They're beautiful. All right, this picture was taken in the crater in 2024, and this lioness, it looks like she's mad at me. She's not mad at me at all. She could care less about me, but she is literally that close to the vehicle. What happened here is we were coming down the road and there were two lionesses walking with four cubs ahead of us. And then they kind of walked off the road a little bit to there was a puddle there. So they were all taking a drink, taking a drink. Oh, I forgot to tell you, before we saw that, we saw a lioness and a male lion in a tree. Okay, coming down, they were on a tree to our left. And then we looked in front, and here's a lioness and four cubs walking. Pretty soon, the other lioness crawled out of the tree, caught up with the other guys, do, and they go off to this little puddle off to the side. They're all drinking, okay? Cute as can be. When all of a sudden, one of the female lions, she lifts her head up and she looks beyond us, behind us. The male lion had come out of the tree and he was making his way towards them. Male lions are a danger to cubs. And so now the lionesses were on full alert and they're like, no way, this is not happening. Okay. It was so interesting to see this all play out. The females gave a signal to the cubs, whatever, this roar, this growl, whatever, really was just like, you guys stay put. And the cubs did. And then the two females, they walked alongside of our trucks back to where that male was, and there wasn't any, they didn't get close enough to like, tangle and claw each other or anything, but there was a lot of growling, roaring going on, and they made him hightail it out of the way. So I caught this just as they were coming by, and they were giving him a good, hightail it out of town, buddy. It was just amazing to see that all play out. And these are some of the cubs that were off to the side. There were four of them. Here's your wildebeest. Here's your wildebeest. These guys are down in the crater. And elephants. Good chance for us to see elephants down there. Okay, here's a pair of lions that are down in the crater. And the one thing that's different about lions down in the crater is they have very black manes. And it's just part of how they've evolved down there. All of them down in the crater have this darker kind of mane, all right? And you'll see, I have a picture of a lion out on the Serengeti, and you'll see the difference there. Baboons everywhere. All right. Oh, we make another stop on another day. We make a stop at Olduvai Gorge. And Olduvai Gorge is like that's where they have found the earliest skeletons of mankind. So it is like the earliest traces of mankind have been found here. Louis Leakey and his whole team have discovered the skeletons down in here, and excavations are still going on and exploration still going on. So we stop there. We get a little talk of the history of that place, and there's also a great little museum for us to go through there as well. This is Olduvai Gorge and all the excavation that they've done in that area. This is the entryway into Olduvai Gorge. Along the way, we will stop at a Maasai village. We visit 4 different tribes on this trip, and the Maasai is the one that most people are familiar with. You've probably seen them on a documentary. They're in both Kenya and Tanzania. But we will take time to stop at one of their villages, and we have a very interactive experience with them. They, all of the tribes that we stop with, they're rightly so, all very proud of their culture and very willing to share that with us. So we will see demonstrations demonstrations of song, dance, fire making. They'll encourage us to join in on the dance. We will dress in their traditional plaid, draped in a plaid blanket, and the women will share their beautiful necklaces, beaded necklaces with us. You'll get the chance to go inside one of their huts, and they'll explain like how their family lives, how their day plays out. They also have a small market there and the opportunity to buy some of the things that they've made. But this is spending time with any of the tribes is absolutely exciting, totally interactive. Here's a picture of the Maasai. And again, this is like iconic. Almost everybody who thinks of a tribe in East Africa knows about the Maasai. Okay, this is in this dance that they perform, the men have this like jumping contest, and in their culture, like the men who can jump the highest, they're gonna get the ladies' attention. Like jumping highest is a good thing, and so they demonstrate this for us with their song and dance. This is inside one of the huts. And again, you can see we're, draped in traditional plaids, and the women share their necklaces with us. Here's a market off to the side. You have the opportunity, bracelets, trinkets, bowls, pretty huge assortment of the different items that they make there. And on the right is just shows you how they carry their babies on their back, again, wrapped in the blankets. All right. Again, no trip to Africa is complete without a stop out on the Serengeti. We spent 3 nights out on the Serengeti, and every day we're out on game drives, trying to find, the migration, trying to find cheetahs, trying to find leopards, trying to find lions, hippos, hippo pools. Every day is different. No 2 days are alike. We have a little tip here, watch the sky for vultures. We see a lot of vulture activity. It's a good sign that there's something on the ground right there. It's just like everybody has a role to play. Somebody makes a kill, and then hyenas are trying to steal things. Vultures are coming in. Everybody has a role to play in everything that goes on in the Serengeti. Um, in the years that I've gone, I have seen attempts at a kill, lions going after something. I've never seen them catch something. And Tara, our owner, I think she says it best. She says, "I want both sides to win," which, right? I mean, the lion has to feed her cubs, but I want the wildebeest to get away as well. So, yeah, yeah. It's all good. It's all exciting to see. This is the tent camp at where we stay out on the Serengeti. Okay. Um, they're beautiful. And this tent camp, just like everywhere else, is not fenced in. Okay. So it is very typical at night. You will hear animal sounds. Um, we have heard lions roaring. We've heard hyenas, jackals, hippos, Cape buffalo. You'll hear them. They may be close to our tents. They give us instructions when we get to the camp. Once it gets dark, we don't move from the dining hall to our tents without an escort from someone from the camp. Okay? And they have a way for us to communicate. Like if you're at your tent and you need to get over to the dining hall, they have a way for us to communicate to get an escort to come on over and get us there. So it's all about safety. It's all about safety, but it's the real deal. We are right out here in the middle of the Serengeti. It's not unusual early in the morning. It's not unusual. Open up your tent and there might be like an animal walking right through the middle of the tents too. They're kind of like they're in a circle or kind of like a horseshoe shape with parking on one side and then for the safari vehicles and then tents around the outside in the dining area, at the end of the horseshoe shape. But it's not unusual, early in the morning. I've seen a giraffe walk through or you just never know. Here's our group outside the dining hall. Huge staff at the Serengeti camp, dining staff, uh, housekeeping staff to make sure our trip has everything we need. An excursion that we added this last year, it's an add-on excursion, is a hot air balloon over the Serengeti. And I don't have enough words to describe it. It's phenomenal. We get up early in the morning. It's a sunrise balloon ride. And uh, we had 3 trips in Tanzania last year. So I was able to do that balloon ride 3 times in a row. 3 completely different trips. We saw 3 completely, different things. You're at the discretion of the way the wind is blowing. The pilot's explaining different things. He's pointing out animals that he's seeing. Absolutely, totally different perspective, way to see the Serengeti, and I highly recommend this. This is an add-on, and not everybody's interested in doing a hot air balloon, so it's not a standard part of the trip. It's, if you're interested, we can get her done. Another view from the hot air balloon, and one more. It's really cool. A little bit hard to see in this picture. Maybe you can make it out. Is from this vantage point, you can see the different trails that the animals have made. Here's a hippo and a baby hippo at a hippo pool that we stopped at. And not unusual for us to see 100 hippos at a time. And they're noisy, they're grunting, they're, showing off to each other and, showing how tough they are to each other. And we're kind of at a little lookout above this, looking down. And absolutely, oh, here, this is a video as well. Let's see. Yeah, that's a hippo pool. The hippo pool also has its very own aroma. Enough said. All right. Hey, look at this guy up in the tree. Um, Here's our leopard. More often than not, we see them up in the trees. Um, they're uh, they're very elusive. But our guides, absolutely incredible. I will never understand how they do it, but they know how to spot these guys. And there's our leopard. They hunt at night, and so we almost always find them up in a tree. This year we did see one on the ground, but more often than not, we find them up in a tree. Oh, like I said, this year, this guy on the left, actually, I don't know if it's a guy or a girl, but we had seen this one earlier in the day, up in a tree, and she was overlooking this little opening where there were zebras and wildebeest, and we thought for sure she was going to come down and chase one. So we waited and waited and waited and waited, and she never came down. So we left, and then I don't know how much later, like at least an hour or so later, we came back, and here she was right alongside the road. And I know it's the exact same leopard because I had pictures of the first one, and the spots are not the same on any leopard, and I was able to tell from the spots on her face. Here she was right next to the road, and it was just thrilling to see her that close. On the left are a couple of jackals, and on the right, cheetahs. Um, Cheetahs are, they're just interesting to see. They like to be up high, so we'll often find them on top of a termite mound because they want to get up high to get that vantage point, and they hunt during the day, and so they're just up there looking, and then the trick they've got up their sleeve is speed. They can run anything. So when we find these guys, it's like almost always middle of the day, like again posed up on top of a termite mound. This was a case where we came across some that had just killed something. We did not see the kill, but we came across them. You can tell the blood all over their mouth. They had seen something. I think that we have another cheetah picture here. Yep, this one too. I took this picture. This was our guides estimated we came across this about 15 minutes after she had gotten this antelope. And the funny thing is you'll see them eat, and then they look around, and then they eat, and then they're just like always cautious. What our guides have told us is everybody tries to steal from the cheetah. the hyenas, the jackals, like could be, a lion coming by or whatever, and the vultures give them away. The vultures start, circling and like they give them away. So those poor cheetahs, everybody tries to steal from them. And all of the cats, they fail more often than they're successful when they try to hunt. So, I don't know, they got to eat too. Here's a couple zebras. More often than not, the zebras look like super friendly and they make these cute little squeaky noises and, they look so happy and joyful. And then we happened to catch them, here they were kind of, fighting each other. So happened to catch them in an unusual moment. But love the zebras. Here's an example of the colorful birds that we may see. These are lilac-breasted rollers. Here's a lion out on the Serengeti, and you can see he's got the iconic mane that matches, the color of his back and the rest of his body. So a little bit different than the lions in the crater. This guy is, the typical lion that we're used to seeing, and was up high on a rock. They got these big rock formations every once in a while. It's like if you're familiar with Flintstone cartoons, how you'd see like a rock, they'd be going by and you see these rock formations. That's all over the Serengeti, and the lions love those. Gives them a great vantage point. Here we are, Serengeti. Okay, next we visit a couple of the tribes. And the first tribe that we visit are the Hadzabe. And this tribe is an absolute step back in time. They are nomadic. They move with the rains, and they speak with a click language. After all these years, I am not able to replicate it at all. So along the way, we stop and pick up an interpreter, and he's with us this entire day. They are very willing and anxious to teach us about their culture. And this, again, is a very interactive day. Their young tribesmen, they offer to take us out on a hunt. Okay. And I had said earlier, like, we really don't have any hikes on this trip, but this is one time where you could go out on a hunt with the young tribesmen. And it could be, we could be out for a half hour, and it's like we're right in the grass. We could go be in and out of, small ditches. We could be along a dry riverbed. They're after, they're on the move and we're trying to follow them. And they're carrying bow and arrows, and they are after like birds or squirrels, small mammals, things like that is like what they're trying to get to demonstrate to us their hunting abilities. And they just keep going until they get something, and then they usually skin it and cook it up, make a fire right wherever we are, cook it up right there. So it's very, very interesting. They will also demonstrate how to make a fire. And if they find a nest of bees, they'll show us what they do to collect the honey. All of that. They'll explain all of the different arrow tips that they have for the different animals that they may be hunting. And then the women also take us on a off to find they're after root vegetables, and they'll show us like how they know where to find it and how they dig it up, and they'll dig one up and slice a few pieces off and offer you a taste of that. And at the very end, they also have their own dance and a couple of like handmade instruments, and the best part is join right in. When in Rome, join right in. Here's the Hadzabe. There's their warrior, or not warriors, there's their young tribesmen in the upper left with their bow and arrows. Oh, you also get the chance to try to hit a target with a bow and arrows. They'll teach you how. And you'll see their dress. They're in a lot of animal skins, and they'll explain the different ones that they each may be wearing. There's a picture of the whole group in the lower left. Then after that, we visit the Datoga tribe, and there's two different clans that we visit. We visit the metalworkers and the pastoralists. The metalworkers, they gather up scrap metal at the nearby villages, and they melt it down, and they demonstrate this all to us. They melt it down with a fire and a homemade bellows. Bellows is made out of a cowhide, and they have a form. They pour the hot metal into a form, and they pound it out, and they make beautiful bracelets. Those are available to purchase. And then they also demonstrate, they take like a 6-inch nail and they pound it into a very sharp barbed arrow. And so this clan, they're trading with the Hadzabes that I just talked about. They may trade honey for arrows. You know, the hunters, they need the arrows, and they trade with the metalworkers for honey and various things. They all get along with each other very well. And they're so the metalworkers are part of the Datoga tribe. And then we also visit the pastoralist part of that tribe, and they raise corn and cows, and the women will demonstrate grinding up the corn. We may get the chance to milk cows. Also, song and dance. Song is universal throughout the world. And so to hear every culture sing and dance, it's just pure magic. This tribe, the Datogas, they often have tattoos on their faces. I think my next slide shows this. Oh, this is, we'll get to that. This is an example of the arrow that they pound out and demonstrate how they make that. And then all of the different bracelets that they have available to sell, available to purchase. So here in this upper picture is an example of the women have this tattoo of circles all around their eyes. And in their culture, this is just considered a thing of beauty. And many of the women have this tattoo feature. They have beautiful beaded dresses that they make themselves, and beautiful necklaces. And again, they're very willing to share all of this and, you know, join in the dance. All right, the last park that we go to is Tarangire National Park, and their claim to fame is they're the home to over 6,000 elephants. So, and again, very good chance we're going to see elephants. Lots of termite mounds. Again, that's a great vantage point for the predatory animals. We'll visit a couple water holes. Those are always changing. There may be lots of animals there. You never know. We've been to one that once had lions all along the rocks on the edge, and keeping an eye on everything, but the animals still came in for a drink of water. So that's Tarangire National Park. This was these lions right alongside the watering hole. There were the elephants on the other side of the watering hole. And this time of year that we go, the other, I always think the other bonus is spring is when you're going to see baby animals. And, you know, nothing like seeing a baby elephant. This is all of us. We're inside the trunk of a baobab tree, and it's all hollowed out. And so we crawled inside for a good photo op. Why not? Oh, there we go. We're at the end. How do you sign up? This QR code takes you to our page for sign up. And you can find that on our website as well. And
if you want, Laura, you can click on that link, and you want to just quick show if you go back and
here.
Control click, and then yeah, just so that you could see the page and see check availability, click on that just so.
Yep. Check availability.
I think it's got to catch up.
I'm seeing 7 left.
Okay. You might have to change your what screen you're sharing. You have 2 screens?
Oh, this shows, oh, you don't see it?
Yeah, we still see the PowerPoint. You might have to.
This kind of overlaid the PowerPoint. I see it all on one screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, you scan the QR code, you're just going to see exactly the same thing. So
Yep.
But
this all gets you to our website.
Yeah, and then I will post this webinar on this tour page as well. So everybody will get an email, but if somebody else comes along and they want to watch this webinar, this will also be on this tour page.
Yep. So just one other thing, like, what I'll go through is like, what's a typical day, right? What's a typical day? Our guides will tell us like, what time are we going to start in the morning? All right. And there are some days on this trip that we start out early, okay? And that's because they know what animals are active early in the morning, right? Early in the morning and at dusk is when like the lions hunt during the night. So it's a good chance early in the morning that we see them like coming back from a hunt, and you're going to see them active and moving along the road. And so even though like you're on vacation, you may be like, what? We're going to get up at, early? What is that all about? Trust me on this, it's worth it. Absolutely worth it. I mean, these guys just know like the best time to see the animals. But a typical day then is we almost always have breakfast at our lodge or at the tent camp. Once in a while, if we have an early morning start and they're really, like want to get us somewhere, we'll go out and we'll see something and then we'll stop and we'll have breakfast like out in the middle of the bush, right? And they pack all of that in the safari vehicle for us. And then, so in the vehicle, again, everybody has their own seat. Change up seats, try them all out. No such thing as, this is my seat, so try them all out. And we're like driving on safari days, we're driving around all day trying to see what we can see. Okay. And then they know where the rest areas are in the different parks. So we stop often for a restroom break. If need be, we say we need to check the tire pressure and we may stop in the middle of the Serengeti and we use nature's bathroom, just stand behind the back of the truck. Okay. But that's a typical safari day. Lunch is almost always out in the field. And again, the guys pack all of that and we'll either find a rest area with picnic tables or, they'll set up a little table and little chairs for us to sit on. And then we safari again in the afternoon and then come back to the lodge or the tent camp at night. And our meal at night is always back at camp. Okay. So yeah, we are bouncing around in a safari vehicle all day long. Okay, this is a trip where you don't have to worry about bringing fancy clothes. We go to dinner in our safari clothes. We're at breakfast in our safari clothes. There is a chance like to do laundry along the way if you want. Like out on the Serengetis, kind of like midway through the trip, if you want to freshen up a few items. It's incredibly economical. I think this year they charge like $1 an item to have clothes washed. I usually like to at least, freshen up my pajamas. You just have to know that it can only be done at a place where we stay 2 nights or more because they don't have any, automatic dryers. Everything's going to be dried on a line outside. So that's a typical safari day. And I think just at the end here we have like, yep, hey, how to reach us. That's my email address there. Tara's the owner. You can also throw any questions her way. I couldn't see the chat while this was up and running. So do we have any questions in the
Yeah,
chat, Shannon?
Caroline was asking about the educational component, like, what does that look like? Caroline, I don't know if you wanted to re-ask that, but yeah, just like where they learn along the way, just kind of expanding on that.
Yeah, I just was curious about, just is there education? Are there any discussions about what we saw like at night at the dinner table? Do they go over anything or is that more like you're learning as you go on the ride? Could you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, both can happen. Our guides are just a wealth of information, and they are also eager to answer any questions you may have. So if you just want to know about, life in Tanzania, how did they grow up? Where did they live? They'll happy to talk about their tribes. They're happy to talk about their culture. It's almost like no question is off limits to them. They are really eager to answer anything along the way. So also along the way, as we're looking for animals and spotting animals, they're offering a running dialogue of what they know about behavior. And they're kind of explaining it all the way as we go. Okay. At the Olduvai Gorge, we do have someone there, like a docent that he gives a small talk about the area and the history of the area. And there's a beautiful little walk-through museum there. That's like the one area where we have like a museum to go through. At dinner, conversation can run from A to Z. And it really is like, you have a question lingering from the day, bring it up. It's just all, very open that way.
Mhm. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. Any other questions? Did I covered, like I'm always asked about bugs, bathrooms, and food. I didn't talk too much about food. We have a lot of chicken, various types of chicken served various ways. A little bit of beef, fish, Almost every meal at night at the lodges or the tent camps, I should say every meal, includes it comes in numerous courses, like a salad, a different soup every night, like homemade soups that are absolutely delicious, and an entree and a dessert. So there's just a lot of food. Breakfast is you can always get eggs to order, scrambled, over easy, whatever. They love making a Mexican, no, Spanish omelet. Spanish omelet is like a favorite of every one of the lodges, and it's always really good. Or they'll often have a breakfast buffet. A lot of fresh fruit at the breakfast buffets. Pineapple, bananas, mangoes. Oh my gosh, oranges. It's just a lot of fresh fruit and a lot of vegetables. Yep. A wider variety of food than I would have had expected. And if everybody has any dietary concerns, if anybody's, gluten-free, things like that, we just need to know about it ahead of time. And there's a form to fill out, like as you register for the trip, we ask if there's any dietary restrictions or concerns. And all of the lodges work really hard to accommodate that. Yep. Anything else?
If you just want to mention quick about dietary preferences.
Hi, this is
Oh, do we have a question?
Yeah, about accommodating vegetarians. If you just want to briefly,
Yeah,
how
absolutely.
we know.
Yep. Again, we have a form that we fill out ahead of time if you have any dietary restrictions, preferences, and vegetarian's another one. If anybody is vegetarian, all of the lodges and tent camps can accommodate that, easily accommodate that. What else?
I have
Come on along.
I have a quick question about is global rescue a requirement for this one?
The what requirement?
Global rescue, are you familiar with global rescue, or some tours require you to have a package with global rescue to get you out of there if you were to get hurt or something like that. Do you guys
Okay,
need that?
Okay, I'm not familiar with Global Rescue, like that company or that term. We recommend on all of our trips that everybody get trip insurance. And
Yeah.
trip insurance packages vary, as far as what they cover. But we absolutely recommend that you get that.
Okay. Yeah, global rescue is kind of an additional thing that some packages want you to have if you're really, really remote and you need to get, if you got hurt for some reason, you need to get pulled out of there or something.
Yeah, I think the packages that I've gotten do have at least the that evacuation and the high amounts for, if you need major medical care, things like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
We are a couple hours away from a hospital at almost like once or even when we're at the crater, once we're out on the Serengeti, when we're near Tarangire Park, the majority of the trip, we are not near a big city. We're a couple hours away from a hospital.
Yeah.
Do you
We can
have
get you
to
there.
get it? I'm sorry. Go
Go ahead.
I know you said that you recommend the malaria drugs for preventative. What about any other vaccine requirements? Are there
Yeah.
any?
Yep, that's a good question too. And actually, what we recommend is that everybody go to their doctor or to a travel doctor because you all know your own histories and things like that. So I personally, not a medical person, I can't recommend you do this or that. I can tell you what we've known of in the past. Is they may recommend that you get caught up on the hepatitis series, typhoid. Okay, and I think typhoid is either a shot or an oral med. There's two different. One is valid for a year, and one is valid, I think, for 5 years or something like that. But what we recommend is either your own physician or many areas, especially if you're near a bigger city. I know you had mentioned Seattle. You're from Portland. You may find a travel nurse. And then they know specifically in this area, this is what you may need. Okay. So I know from the past, from going to Tanzania, I've gotten caught up on the hepatitis series, I've gotten the typhoid, and I take the preventative malaria. Okay. At the moment, there's not a vaccine for malaria. There is one for children, but the last I heard, still nothing for adults. You do not need yellow fever for Tanzania. Okay. So if you're talking to a doctor or something like that, that is in this where we're at, you do not need yellow fever for Tanzania. We do need that for Uganda, but you do not need it for Tanzania. Okay. Anything else? All right. Who's ready? Let's go. How was May? Let's do it.
I have a question. What happens if you miss a connecting flight?
We know you when you get your flights, we ask we need to know what flights you're on, okay?
Yeah.
And so we know when to expect you and if there's going to be a delay. We also ask if you know if there's a delay to contact us, and we'll give you all the contact information, okay? And we have had trips where someone missed a flight and they don't get there until the next day, okay? Our guides still work to like get that person and get them caught up. Okay. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, and that's the very first trip that I was on. There was one gal, I forget what the specifics were, but she didn't come in until we had already been to Arusha Park. I think she caught up with us the day after that. This was like somebody like none of us had met her yet, right? She was a stranger to all of us, but she was one of us, and we were like, oh my God, it was a big cheer when we caught up with her, and and they just arranged at I think it was like a gas station or something. Our guide who had her, one of our guides had her, and then caught up with the rest of us, and yeah, that's why we ask for your flight information so we know exactly what, and we can keep an eye on that as well. Yep, won't leave you stranded.
I think I might have read something where you could come in a day early to acclimate
Yes.
a little bit more. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, that's always a possibility. We just need to know that. And of course that you'll be paying then for another night at the lodge, whatever. A lot of people like to do that for a couple reasons, in case there's any flight delays or any issues like that, but more importantly to acclimate, okay? Often the flights coming into Arusha are very late at night. And if you come in on like that day, we're starting the next morning. Okay, the next morning is our first game drive to Arusha. Okay, so I mean, it all depends what you're comfortable with. I like coming in a day early, just to like a day of and there's plenty to do at Lake Duluti at the lodge that we stay at. They have you can get a massage. You can go on they do offer a coffee tour because they grow coffee right on the grounds.
Cool.
So they offer free I think that one's free. And like a tour of their grounds. They have a beautiful garden. They love showing all of that off. It's called Lake Duluti because it's situated right on Lake Duluti, and you can go for a little canoe ride on there. It's a guided canoe ride. They also have like a guided hike around the lake. And I don't know the exact charge of those, but it's nominal. It's like maybe $50. I'm not sure. And then like a guide, one of their people from the hotel staff takes you around on those. Yeah, I've done the canoe ride in the past. That was fun. I haven't had the opportunity to do the hike around the lake, but I've done the coffee tour and the tour of the grounds. Yeah. And again, it's all like, if you have the energy to do it. If not, there's a pool and beautiful lounge chairs by the pool, beautiful deck, just kind of like soak it all in. Yeah. Sleep in that mosquito netting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, you could tell my excitement. Like, I just love this trip and just fell in love with everything about Tanzania, the people, the landscape, the animals, all of it. And I hope that energy is contagious. Yeah. All right, what else? Okay, I don't want to take up much more of your time. We already went a little bit over. Sorry about that. I tend to get, a little chatty on these things. But anyway, if you have any questions, absolutely, grab my email address there, grab Tara's email address, send us all of your questions. Yeah, we hope you join us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Woohoo, thank you.